Main Street, USA. Your fairy tale journey begins here. As you enter Disneyland Park, immerse yourself in this charming American town inspired by the childhood home of Walt Disney, full of shops, restaurants, and other hidden secrets. As you approach the end of the street, take in the magical view of the fairy tale turrets of Sleeping Beauty Castle stretching up towards the sky. Shops bursting with magic. Whether it's Disney ears when you arrive or Disney pins, plushes, toys, costumes, or housewares, Main Street has got it all. Arcades. Wander through covered walkways full of surprises. See if you can find the hidden doorways inside these two stunning passages. Bathed in the soft lighting of vintage-style gas lanterns, you'll feel like you've stepped back in time. Featuring ornate ironwork, these arcades are a treasure trove of artwork, photographs, and exquisite scale models. See the sights in a horse-drawn streetcar, steam train, or car. Travel in style down Main Street in an ornate 19th century horse-drawn streetcar, a Mercer sports car, an old-fashioned paddy wagon police vehicle, or even a limousine. Or why not hop on board the Disneyland Railroad steam train and admire the view of Disneyland Park. Enjoy a Disneylicious meal or a quick snack. Follow the sweet aroma of freshly baked muffins to the old San Francisco-style patisserie of Cable Car Bake Shop. Or enjoy a refined meal at Plaza Gardens in an elegant, sumptuously decorated Victorian pavilion. Main Street, USA. One of the original areas of Disneyland, with its interconnected shops making it one of the world's first shopping malls. Walt's plan was to present an idealized town at the turn of the century. Such a town never really existed, but if guests were to conjure up their ideal town, it would be something like Main Street, USA. Various towns from Walt Disney's past have claimed that he got the idea for Main Street from them, but the most likely candidate for this honor would be Marceline, Missouri, the town in which Walt spent the formative years of his childhood. Using forced perspective, the Disney designers gave a fantasy look to the street, making a small place seem large. The ground floors were built at about 7/8 size, with the succeeding floors proportionately smaller. This fudging on the size gives the whole area a fantasy, not quite real feeling, which increases one's appreciation of it. Main Street runs from the railroad station and town square for 2 blocks to the hub. Looking straight down Main Street, guests can catch a glimpse of the castle leading to Fantasyland. On the windows above the ground floor, Disney started a tradition of honoring the men and women who were instrumental in the construction and operation of Disneyland. One of the few exceptions is a window honoring Walt's father, Elias, above the Emporium. The Walt Disney World Magic Kingdom Park, Disneyland Paris, and Hong Kong Disneyland have their main streets. But Tokyo Disneyland opted instead for World Bazaar, which looks very similar except for a roof covering the entire area.
More than any other park, I think the entrance here is extraordinary. And ironically, it was a successful thing to have that hotel, and so many of our other parks like Tokyo and even in California with the Grand Californian Hotel at the California Adventure Park, all of that has come as a result of what we pioneered here in Paris. Main Street, in Tokyo we covered Main Street because people shop. It's a big part of the culture in Japan is to take home gifts for literally every friend and relative that you have. In Paris, it's more about enjoying the outdoors and the life that you see when you go to the city. I love the street cafe scene in Paris. Everybody is eating outside. Nobody would go into a restaurant if the weather was like this. They'll be outside. So to have covered Main Street the way we did in Tokyo would have been wrong. So culturally, we left it open, but we knew we were going to have weather, so we put in the arcades. If you walk behind Main Street, you'll see 2 of the most beautiful arcades, I think, in Europe. And yet we were able to maintain that openness on Main Street.
Main Street veut dire en anglais rue principale. Et c'est la façon dont le land a été composé, une rue principale. Walt Disney s'est inspiré de la ville dans laquelle il a grandi au début du siècle dernier, Marceline, dans le Missouri. On trouve d'ailleurs la photo de cette ville sur le tipboard à Central Plaza, ainsi qu'à City Hall.
All of Main Street was, originally depicting Walt Disney's childhood in the Midwest of the United States, and that was great for his age of, and generation, who could come back as adults and revisit their early youth. Well, here we are, we're 10, 15 years from Walt Disney's childhood. When we looked around Europe, especially here in Paris, there's a tremendous amount of care given to the sense of arrival. So if you go to the Louvre, you've got the Tuileries in front. You go to Versailles, there are the gardens. Down by Chinoso and Chambord, it's a beautiful sense of parking your car and going through something wonderful. And so we thought, especially being next to Paris, we needed something here that was a gift, something that was wonderful and invigorating before you came in. And we thought, what would be a symbol that would be inviting and warm, and it seemed like an inn. Now, when you look around, you see the City Hall and various public buildings here that are, emulating a real City Hall, but they're not really a City Hall. And the hotel, we thought, well, it'll just be emulating a hotel. It'll just be a nice artificial inn. And when we showed it to management, we thought, well, they'll love it. They'll give us extra money for this. And he said, no, we love the idea, but where are you going to get the money? I said, well, I thought maybe you'd like it and we'd get to build this extra thing. And Michael says, well, what if we made it a real hotel? And we all were just flabbergasted, because the idea of building a hotel that actually participates in the park, that had never happened before. Walt Disney wanted a gazebo exactly there at Disneyland, and they had to take it out because the flagpole went there. When we came to France, we thought it might be okay to have an American flag over in the corner, but it would not be right to put an American flag right smack dab in the center of the park. So we all thought about it. We said, what if we bring back Walt Disney's idea and build the gazebo here? So this is the only Disneyland park that has what Walt Disney originally conceived for the center of town square. At one time, we were going to make Main Street a little bit more modern, like into the 1920s, because we found that in Europe, America was beginning to be interesting only after the development of technology. The Jazz Age had happened, where there was a new type of music. There was the automobile, and cities like Detroit and Chicago that came into being after the invention of cars. So it wasn't like here, where everything is built around lake or river traffic, pretty much, and the distribution was via horse cars and whatnot. So your cities have a different feel. It's more romantic. In the States, everything is big and post-automobile. So there was an interest in that. There was even an interest in the gangsters, So we put together, what if we moved it forward to 1920? Then Michael had a bad dream one night. He says, we can't destroy Walt Disney's dream. We have to take it back and make it look like all the other Disneylands. Because you come into here and it's sort of neutral, and you have all these different choices of Adventureland and Frontierland, Discoveryland, Fantasyland, all beckoning with adventures that are very distinctly different. And the other thing I feel about Disneyland in general, that Walt Disney began, and we haven't changed much, is those words, Adventureland and Frontierland and Fantasyland. They're very clear on what kind of things you would expect in there as a guest, and they're very clear to the designers what it is we need to design that goes in there, so that you find a land that is a reflection of what the word says.